Baby. Good morning, good morning. Hello. What's the day? Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. Good morning, bright and early Wednesday morning. We back out here wishing you a happy hump day. Hoping that your life continues to be amazing. When you woke up this morning, we still out here in the cold, doing what we do, trying to be who we need to be. Bam. Hey Shanika, good morning, and welcome to Walk and Talk with Lamont Carey. Thank you for joining me. So Shanika, what you in the mood? What you in the mood for today? What's your day gonna look like? What's your thinking? What's your inspiration for this morning? I'm actually seeing an amazing little morning. Still snow everywhere, but I'm joined. Somebody decided to come and hang out with me today. My usual co-host. So, gangster, say good morning. Your gangster was tripping on me for like the last couple of days. He decided outside wasn't where he needed to be. So he looked at me like I was crazy. So this morning I wanted to talk about are we teaching our kids or preparing our kids to live a life outside of us? I had a conversation. Shanika said, thank God for waking us up this morning. So what's on the agenda? What you working on? What's the current goal that you're trying to accomplish? Is your New Year's going off the way that you wanted to go? So me and one of my friends, the Miss Richardson, had a conversation yesterday about our different kinds of upbringing and do we prepare our kids for life outside of us. And one of the striking things about the conversation was that it was based off the show that we had yesterday when we talked about life insurance, and she was recalling that her mother had life insurance, right? This is something that she knew, but she never explained the importance of having life insurance. And we also talked about what we don't expose our kids to and the things that we expose our kids to. And one of the biggest things from our conversation has centered around did our parents drop the ball, or were they trying to protect us? Shanika said, my goals for this year is to save money. Hey, not only save it, I say figure out how to grow it. Whether that is investing, we're always investing, because we can save. The one thing that I learned about saving money is that when you got the money sitting in the bank or in the shoebox or wherever, something always comes up where you have to dip into that money. So what I try to do is put my money, when I'm trying to save money, I'm always trying to grow it. I don't care if it's a couple of dollars more than what I already have, but I try to put it in something that's going to be something that I'm not necessarily going to be trying to go through the process to retrieve it. So it might be stocks, it might be a CD or somewhere there's a penalty or there's a process for me to go to access it. Shanika said, I'm working on investing as well. Yes, because we got to grow our money. And I don't know if you heard yesterday's show where we was talking about life insurance and the benefits of life insurance, not just in helping us bury our loved ones, but also use it as other cultures and races do as a way to build wealth. Because we knew that death is going to happen and that somebody's going to have to be buried. And so life insurance help you cover that unexpected death, but also help you prepare more money will bring more income into the family. So I'm working on getting CD for my grandsons. Awesome. So Shanika, let me ask you. So today, again, the topic was about, are we preparing our kids to live outside of us? And one of the things that happened during my conversation yesterday was how parents have reached a point, maybe in the last 20 years or what have you, or maybe even longer. Sarah, hey Sarah, good morning. Parents have reached a point where they want to make sure their kids have the things that they didn't have access to. And so during this conversation, we learned that me and Ms. Richardson was raised completely different. I knew I was poor, but Ms. Richardson, her and her siblings didn't know that they were poor. And she raised her child. He had what he wanted, he had. And so we had this conversation, because of our own upbringing, do we deprive our children from learning how to thrive and go on to live a life outside of us? Boom me, hello. So, if you have a kid, are you raising your kid preparing your kid to live a successful life outside of you? Because one of the things that I find with working with juveniles, and when you talking to their parents, they say that the kid don't want to do anything, right? The kid doesn't know how to do anything. And so that makes me wonder, like, kids are only vessels, right? They come into the world not knowing anything. And so everything that pours into their little minds is things that they're going to learn from everything. And their main teacher will always be us. Shanika said, I talked to one of my sons about putting away $500 a month. Awesome. And so what is that conversation like, Shanika? Is that you saving for a rainy day, saving to build wealth through investments? What is the saving, the $500 a month? What is the benefit that he's believing that he's going to get out of it? So I'm wondering, okay, when the parent says that the kid don't want to do anything and don't know how to do anything, so I only can wonder, is what are we exposing this child to? Because I believe, and I'm not no greatest parent in the world, but I believe that giving a child chores as early on as you possibly can give them, that teach them how to, at a minimum, of take care of themselves. So I don't care if the kid is 1 year old. Go make up your bed, right? And so we teach them habits of taking care of themselves, taking care of their personal space, making sure it's clean, because eventually they're going to grow up and have a house or apartment on their own. And if they're used to just taking off clothes and discarding it everywhere, then those same habits that they're going to carry into adulthood. Sarah said yes. What you mean, Sarah? Niger, good morning. So I believe in chores, but I also believe in giving allowances for the work that you put in. Shanika said invest, save for a rainy day. I love that. So Shanika, so I like the investing and I like saving for the rainy day. But one of the things I be teaching my son and the young men that's always with me is save the bill like generational wealth. The rainy day comes. The rainy day, we got to be able to identify what the rainy day is. Is the rainy day for, that emergency fund? Because I know if we focus on, or if I focus on building financial independence and stability, that my rainy days can always fall within that and I not be broke. So I'm always looking to, like, how do I grow my money? And there's been times that I have not grown my money. There's been times that my rainy day happens so often. I mean, when I first started trying to save, and then I'll save a certain amount of money and something horrific will go wrong with, like, the car. Now my rainy day fund is gone, right? Because I was just putting it in the bank, just saving it for emergencies versus me trying to grow it. And then every time I save for emergency, an emergency happened that always took my money away. So, are we preparing our children to live outside of us? Because parents be like, he don't want to do nothing, or she don't want to do nothing, or she don't know how to do anything. So what are we, the investments we're making in them? Because I know as an adult, I don't know how to cook. I've had a cookbook, and I was trying to make special dishes, and sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. But at a minimum, my ass do not know how to cook, and I just recently learned how to garden. So if you remove all the supermarkets, a few years ago, I would die of starvation. Sarah said, I always offer a child the opportunity to do a chore or work to clean up what we were just active with. And I get a lot of slack because the environment is church or school. I don't have my own children yet, God willing. But when I taught, the kids had no respect for the classroom. But if they had to clean it, then they had respect for it. I agree. Because if somebody's always picking up behind the kid, then how would they ever know that it's their responsibility to make sure that it's tidy? How do they ever know to fix something that's broken when we always came to the aid of fixing it for them? I remember as a child, that's how little engineers was happening in my community, because they'll break something and probably out of fear of getting in trouble, they'll open that radio and figure out how to put that radio back together. Shanika said, I told him to put it in 2 different accounts. Okay. Good stuff. Nigel said, it's also important to not rush they children out of the house when they turn 18 or so. There's a guidance that we need to provide for them when they embark on adulthood as well. Nigel, you know, there are parents that when that child turn 18, they have to go. They have to get up out of that house. Now, it reminds me of juveniles that's charged as adults. So juveniles is charged as adults, right? Usually between the ages of, well, I don't know the minimum age because it depends on your state. But they consider juveniles until they are the age of 18. And a lot of times they have like violent crimes. But do you know, on their 18th birthday, as soon as the clock strike 12 and it's their birthday, their belongings are gathered and they are walked over into adult population. That is their 18th birthday present, right? They've been sheltered away from the adults. As soon as they turn, seconds after they turn 18 years old, they are walked right into the adult population with no guidance on what to expect, no guidance on how to survive. They are just released. And so that reminds me of parents as soon as the child turned 18. My job done. You survived. Now you got to go. Sarah said, chores and work are a tool to teach so many adult aspects. Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat. And then we can start giving kids an allowance and teach money management. I agree. Sarah also said, if we can't teach money management from 12 to 18, then they are more prepared adults at 18. We wait till they turn 18 and think they'll know what to do. Yes, Sarah, I agree, because I was not taught anything about money in school or in my household. And yesterday, I revealed that I didn't learn anything about money until I started hanging around drug dealers. That's who I learned money management. That's who I learned investment from. That's who I learned saving from, because I'm assuming the people in my family either felt that I didn't know, or I didn't know yet, or they didn't know how to manage their money. So how are they going to teach me how to manage mine? But I think for our kids to be independent and not just living paycheck to paycheck, because if you just living paycheck to paycheck, what happens when that job downsizes or that job moves somewhere else, or you make a mistake on that job, or their funding gets shaky and they decide that they have to let you go? How will our kids know how to survive and thrive? I know all over this country where I just happen to be fortunate to visit, there are so many homeless kids in America. So many homeless families. And you just have to wonder, like, how did that happen? How did those people reach this point in their life where they are unable, in one of the wealthiest countries in the world, to have a roof over their head? But because we're not preparing and we're not teaching individuals not just how to survive, but how to live and thrive. Sarah said I wasn't taught much about anything except how to not get knocked from pops. I don't know what that means, Sarah. You're going to have to break that down for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, my question to you is, how are you preparing your kids or the kids in your life to be able to be great adults, right? Because when they say if you could tell what the child's life like at home by their actions in the community, which I don't always agree with that, because a lot of kids act out when they're not around their parents. They become this different person. But when they have fun to their parents, they're respectful and things of that nature. So How do we build up a kid in a way that they be responsible, be respectful, and they be able to go on to live productive lives as adults? Sarah said there are two extremes in parenting: spoiling them or abandoning them. Right. Mike, what's up, pretty boy? So, how are you raising your kids to prepare them to take on the world that they're going to inherit? Are you teaching them financial literacy? Are you teaching them how to cook? Are you teaching them how to judge people, how to effectively communicate their needs and wants? Are we teaching them how to really engage society? So that's what I want to know. Oh, and today, guess who decided to join me? Gangsta. Say hello to the people. He's out here running around in the snow. He decided he was going to come out, get his snow a chance. So I thank you for joining me right here on the Lamont Carey Show. So again, I didn't learn anything about money until I got around drug dealers. And that was my introduction to saving, investing, money management. Now, of course, it was all bad stuff, right? I learned from, but I'm still able to use some of those same lessons in a productive way. Nigel said, great message. Enjoy the rest of your day. You do the same, love. And what's even crazier is that I learned how to be more respectful. Slide, what's happening? In prison, right? I learned money management from drug dealers. I learned how to take care of myself better in the house of correction. Crazy as hell. And I'm not encouraging this as education for your kids, to pair them with drug dealers to teach them management, money management and investment and all that. And I'm not encouraging your kids to go to jail to learn how to take care of themselves. My point is, these things I wasn't learning in school. These things I was not learning in my household. And I just wonder, did they contribute to my outside behavior? Because I remember I knew I was poor because my mother used to always say, you can't have that. I can't afford this. I can't afford that. And so my thing used to be like, when I get older, I'm gonna get me some money and I'm gonna get everything that I want. And when I get my money right, my kids, they gonna have everything that they want. And so me and my friend Ms. Richardson yesterday had a conversation about parents that provide everything that their child needs, spoiling them, and then they become spoiled adults that can't thrive. Is that the truth? What are your thoughts on that? Sarah said, I always knew you were going to be a preacher, a people reacher. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm about to pass around this pot, Sarah, and I'm collecting your tithes and offering so you can sow into this ministry, all right? So, are you one of those parents that gives your kid everything that they want because you weren't able to get everything that you wanted when you was a child? And are you teaching your kids what to do with money, how to manage money, what is a good investment? Hey, Tanya. Sarah laughing, okay. Are you preparing your kids to live a life outside of you? What are some of your tips that you can give us so that we can implement it in our our relationship with our kids. Now, one of the things that I do with my son and in my programs, right? So my son and his friends, like every other typical kid, loves video games. And they would try to spend hours and hours on video games. So two things that I do. One, I develop a program based off of them. Hey, Tanya. So one of the things that they have to do, so I give them assignments. So one is learning real estate. The other is learning mutual funds, and another one is learning money markets, right? So every week they have an assignment on bringing me information on explaining what is it, how it works, what are the steps, and what are the benefits and what are the cons, the pros and cons, right? So they learn everything from what is an appraiser, what does the appraiser do, who do you seek the loan after if you're trying to buy a home. So they even taught me stuff like it's not good to buy a home at the bottom of a hill because when it rains or snows and when the snow melts or the rain, all of it pushes down in the hill. And so the house that's usually at the bottom of the hill on the corner usually floods. I'm like, wow, right? And so with money marketing and stocks, so they learning all of those things. And of course, they hate it. Of course, they tried to get over. But to make sure that they getting what I need them to get, I make sure that I'll wait a couple of days and I'll bring it back up and we'll have a conversation about it. So I got all of the kids learning something different. And so when they explaining to me their homework assignment, the kids that's in earshot are also learning, right? So it's like reach one, teach one, and so that's what we implement. And another thing that I do with them, Kevin, Corey, what's up, Corey? What's up, Kevin? Another thing that I do with them is we'll go to the library because they have to read like anywhere from two to five chapters before they're allowed to play video games. And so how this works is the first time that we started this, I allowed them to pick a book that they wanted to read, right? And then the second time I picked books that I want them to read, and because their books are usually, they done ran all kind of games. Comic books, the thinnest book in the library, and then when it's my turn to pick something for them, I make sure it's diverse. Everything from finance to philosophy to poetry to writing. And this is just to broaden their experiences and what they know. And so right now they're not talking about finance in school or philosophy or what have you, but as they advance in grades, those things will change. And if the teacher brings up something about investments, they'll be abreast in it. And so our next phase, so I do things like that, not only with my son and the kids that be with me on a consistent basis, but also in my programs, because if we're not teaching them how to grow their money versus just saving it, then they'll always be spending it. Ramona said, that's powerful. Ramona, I'm gonna have to come down there and see you. So our conversation is, are you and how are you preparing your kids to live a life outside of you? So we've already heard that, sometimes some parents can't wait till the kid is 18 and then they put them out, right? Sometimes parents complaining about what the kid don't know or what the kid doesn't do, but then it goes back to what are we as parents investing in our kids? What are we teaching them? Because like I said earlier, I didn't learn anything about finances, investments, none of that stuff until I got with drug dealers. That's who taught me about money management investments, savings, and things of that nature. So we want to know, are you preparing your child to live a life of productivity, right? Live a life of financial stability when your child leaves you? How are we preparing them? I know my man Corey Knight is doing some great things through his programs. He's teaching entrepreneurship as well. So if you don't know business, if you don't know what you don't know, and you can't be, nobody can fault the parent for what they don't know. But there are programs that you can get your child in that can help shape their world. I did a program like 2 years ago, and I asked the kids, what do they want to be? And they didn't know. Well, a lot of them didn't know what they wanted to be, so I asked them how much money they want to make. And one kid told me $25,000. And some of the other kids agreed, like $25,000. Yeah, that's how much I want to make, right? I know most of y'all are frowning like $25,000. That's not no money. But then you got to think, if your family is in subsidized housing, right? And at the beginning of every month, your mother sends you, or your father sends you to the corner store to get a money order for $30 to pay the rent. Your perception of how much the rent is $30. You're not thinking about subsidized housing because you may not be aware of none of that. And so if you look at it from that perspective, that you either don't pay electricity or what have you, and your monthly bills are $150 max, and that kid eyes $25,000 for that year is a lot of money. And so, reality versus perception. Kevin said, I have a program that I want you to see and get your opinion on, not only for the youth, adults, but also for my parents. All right, Kevin, you know my consulting hours are from 8 to 5. Call me. Let's sit down. Let's make it work. Ramona said, teach them taxes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So Ramona is a tax lady. I stay in Ramona's face. You hear me crying, pleading, help me, Ramona, help me. Because I don't know. So I try to go to those that do know so they can help me. But I also try to learn some, because I got in this bad habit of trying to do everything myself. But Ramona, I'm changing. Tootie said, hello, Ramona. Jesus. Why you say Jesus? Because I told him you the tax lady. But it's the truth. You just try to make sure businesses are in compliance. So again, ladies and gentlemen, what are you teaching your kids about becoming adults? How are you preparing them to live an independent life? Because what I know is what my parents didn't know, I didn't know. And then sometimes our parents, are you one of those parents that think your kid is too young to learn something or to know something that's important? Not just to you as an individual, but important to the family's health. Important to, because I know their parents be like, I don't want to worry my kids that we ain't gonna have a good Christmas this year, or I didn't want to worry my kids that we behind in this or we behind in that. I think that stuff is important to share with your kid, not to worry your kid, but to introduce your kid to the stuff that reality, right? Versus them discovering that stuff on their own. And like I was mentioning earlier, me and a friend of mine, we was talking about like life insurance, and we was recalling our parents used to pay for life insurance, but they never sat down and talked to us about life insurance. And this may be the reason that we see so many GoFundMe pages now when somebody dies. That's the life insurance plans, right? Well, let's ask the public, because Junior passed and we don't have no money saved, right? Because we wasn't taught how to invest. We wasn't taught how to save. We wasn't taught how to sacrifice to make sure life insurance, the family members have life insurance, so when tragedy happens, that we will be covered. So that what brought on this conversation about our parents really preparing their kids to live independent lives. And so I wanted to get some tips from you all on how we can make sure that our kids are sound mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. Ramona said no, making $25,000. Hope we are listening. Yeah. So Mona, what are some of the tips that you can give us? So Mona, do you teach your kids? This thing done froze. So Mona, I'm sorry, this thing froze. So Mona, do you teach your kids about finance? What are some of the parenting tips that you all can give to us so we can implement it in our own kids' lives or in our parenting? Is this a class? Which one you're talking about? When we talk about the investment and learning the real estate and that kind of stuff, Ramon, is that what you're talking about? See, gangsta out here trying to get gangster. Look at him, look at him. Watch him. God damn, that dog almost jumped up over that gate. I done had this conversation with gangster that I will leave his ass because I don't fight dogs. Tootie said I showed them how much everything is and let them see how I pay them and what comes out of the account and where it goes. Good stuff. And so how do they take to that? Are they paying attention? Like, what's going on? Is they grasping how to budget? Because that's what you're teaching them, right? How to budget their money, where everything goes, so they know what to expect when they have to handle those bills on their own. So are you preparing your kids to live a life outside of you? And if so, what are some of the tips you can give us? Mr. Bear, how you doing? Golden Globe superstar. So what I didn't anticipate that 3 days later, so the signal here is ridiculous. The signal here is ridiculous. So I think it's my time for us to tap out because this keep going in and out. Victor Battle, what's up, superstar? Hopefully I'll see you all soon. Be back again tomorrow, 8 a.m. unless I got something else to do. Oh, Miss Tootie said with my older girls, when they got jobs, they had to pay bills at 16 because they would have too much money. I could dig it. So, join me tomorrow, 8 a.m. Give me some topics. Give me some things that you want to talk about, and I'm going to bring them to the table. I appreciate you. Be here 8 a.m. Please comment, share, and like. Thank y'all. See y'all tomorrow. Bye.